When the day begins, there is a quiet battle taking place before the noise ever starts. It is the battle for control. The mind wants to rush ahead, planning, worrying, replaying yesterday, and predicting tomorrow. The heart wants to protect itself, holding tightly to what feels familiar. But this moment right here at the start of the day is an invitation to release the weight of self-dependence and choose surrender instead. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the recognition that life moves too fast, decisions are too complex, and outcomes are too uncertain to be managed by human strength alone. Too often, control disguises itself as responsibility. We tell ourselves we must figure everything out, carry everything alone, and stay in charge of every detail. But the truth is, control exhausts the soul. It keeps the mind restless and the spirit tense. Beginning the day by surrendering control is an act of trust. It says, I don't have to know everything right now. I don't have to force answers before their time. I don't have to lead myself through a day I've never lived before. This surrender clears space for peace to enter where anxiety once lived. Laying down control also means silencing the inner voice that demands perfection. That voice says, you must get it all right, say the right words, make no mistakes, and never fall behind. But surrender interrupts that pressure. It allows the heart to breathe again. It allows the soul to say, I am not the source of my own strength. When control is released, grace is invited in, and grace carries what control never could. This surrender at the start of the day is intentional. It happens before the phone is picked up, before the opinions of others are heard, before circumstances have a chance to shape emotions. It is a deliberate pause that says, I choose guidance over impulse. I choose trust over fear. I choose alignment over ambition. In that pause, the spirit becomes receptive instead of reactive. The heart becomes teachable instead of guarded. Letting go of control also requires humility. It acknowledges that past experiences, knowledge, and instincts, while valuable, are not enough on their own. Yesterday's victories cannot lead today's battles. Yesterday's lessons cannot navigate today's unknowns. Surrender admits that even the strongest faith still needs daily guidance. It removes the pressure to be self-sufficient and replaces it with the freedom of dependence. This kind of surrender reshapes the entire day. Decisions are no longer driven by urgency, but by peace. Challenges are no longer faced alone, but with confidence. Unexpected moments no longer feel like interruptions, but opportunities for direction. When control is released, the heart becomes anchored, the mind becomes calm, and the spirit becomes attentive. The day no longer feels like something to survive, but something to walk through with assurance, knowing that every step does not rest on human strength, but on divine leading. Every day places us at unseen intersections where choices quietly shape outcomes long before we recognize their impact. Some decisions appear small on the surface, yet they carry weight that reaches far into the future. Words spoken in a moment, reactions formed under pressure, or opportunities accepted too quickly can redirect an entire season of life. This is why guidance is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Human understanding, no matter how experienced, cannot perceive every consequence or discern every motive hidden beneath appearances. Asking for guidance begins with acknowledging uncertainty. It is the humble admission that not every option that looks good is good, and not every open door is meant to be walked through. There are moments when logic provides several reasonable paths, yet peace is absent from all of them. In those moments, guidance becomes more valuable than intelligence. It becomes the inner compass that aligns decisions with purpose rather than impulse. Life rarely announces its most important decisions. They often come disguised as normal conversations, unexpected invitations, or routine responsibilities. Guidance sharpens awareness so that the heart learns to recognize significance in ordinary moments. It teaches patience when the urge is to respond quickly. It encourages waiting when emotions demand action. Instead of rushing to fill silence with words or fear with movement, discernment, guidance calls for stillness, allowing clarity to rise above noise. Seeking direction also protects the heart from reacting emotionally. Emotions are powerful, but they are not reliable leaders. Fear can push toward isolation, anger toward destruction, and excitement toward reckless choices. Guidance steadies the inner world, creating space between emotion and action. In that space, discernment is born. Discernment does not deny emotion, it simply refuses to let emotion sit on the throne of decision making. Guidance also brings courage. There are times when the right direction feels uncomfortable or unpopular. The guided path may require saying no when approval is desired, walking away when comfort is offered, or remaining silent when the urge is to defend oneself. Without guidance, these moments feel confusing and painful. With guidance, they become acts of obedience rather than losses. Strength grows when direction is trusted, even without immediate understanding. Asking for guidance reshapes priorities. Success is no longer measured by speed, visibility, or applause, but by alignment and peace. The heart learns to value right timing over fast results. Decisions are filtered through purpose rather than pressure. This shift guards against burnout, regret, and constant second guessing. When direction is clear, the soul rests even when the path is challenging. Guidance also trains the heart to listen. Listening requires slowing down in a world addicted to noise. It requires creating space where insight can surface and wisdom can speak softly without being drowned out. Over time, this practice refines sensitivity, making it easier to recognize when to move forward and when to wait. The day unfolds with less confusion and more confidence, not because every answer is known, but because direction is trusted. Pressure has a way of rushing the soul into decisions it is not ready to make. It speaks loudly, demanding immediate answers, instant reactions, and quick results. In moments of pressure, the heart feels squeezed, the mind becomes clouded, and clarity feels distant. Yet peace does not shout, it whispers. It waits patiently beneath the noise, inviting the heart to slow down and choose response over reaction. This choice becomes a turning point, separating wisdom from impulse. Reacting is often driven by fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of missing out, fear of losing control, or fear of being left behind. When fear leads, words are spoken too quickly, actions are taken without thought, and regret soon follows. Peace interrupts this cycle. It creates a pause between stimulus and response, allowing discernment to step in. In that pause, the heart gains perspective and the mind regains balance. Discernment is more than knowing right from wrong. It is the ability to sense timing, motive, and direction. It recognizes when silence is more powerful than speech and when waiting is more productive than movement. Pressure urges immediate action, but discernment asks deeper questions. Is this the right moment? Is this driven by anxiety or by purpose? Is this aligned with peace or is it fueled by panic? These questions protect the soul from unnecessary battles and emotional exhaustion. Choosing peace over pressure requires courage. It means resisting the demand to prove oneself, to explain everything, or to respond to every opinion. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every opportunity deserves acceptance. Peace teaches the heart that restlessness is not the same as urgency. Some doors are meant to remain closed, not because of fear, but because of wisdom. When discernment replaces reaction, relationships are transformed. Conversations become thoughtful rather than heated. Conflicts are approached with understanding instead of defensiveness. Listening becomes as important as speaking. This shift creates space for empathy, allowing responses to be guided by grace rather than ego. The result is not weakness, but strength under control. Pressure often promises relief if action is taken quickly, but it rarely delivers lasting peace. Discernment, however, may feel uncomfortable at first because it often calls for restraint. It may require sitting with uncertainty, trusting that clarity will come in its proper time. This waiting strengthens patience and deepens trust, building an inner stability that pressure cannot shake. As the heart learns to prioritize peace, decision-making becomes less chaotic. The mind no longer feels pulled in multiple directions. Focus sharpens, emotions settle, and confidence grows. Responses become intentional rather than automatic. Life begins to move at a healthier rhythm where actions flow from clarity instead of confusion. In choosing peace over pressure and discernment over reaction, the soul finds its footing anchored in calm assurance rather than driven by urgency. Not every open door is an invitation meant to be accepted, and not every closed door is a punishment. Some of the most powerful protection in life comes through what does not work out. Yet the human heart often struggles with this truth. We naturally associate open doors with approval and closed doors with rejection. But wisdom teaches that direction is not always revealed through ease, and purpose is not always confirmed through opportunity alone. There are doors that appear attractive because they promise growth, recognition, or comfort. They sparkle with potential and seem perfectly timed. Yet beneath the surface, they may carry hidden costs that drain peace, compromise values, or distract from true purpose. Trusting closed doors requires faith, especially when desire is strong and expectations are high. It means believing that what is being withheld is not a loss, but a form of care. Closed doors often arrive without explanation. Plans fall apart, relationships shift, opportunities disappear, and clarity feels absent. In those moments, frustration and doubt attempt to take control. The heart asks why, and the mind searches for mistakes. But closure does not always come with answers. Sometimes the only assurance given is that stopping is better than proceeding. Trust grows when the heart learns to rest without understanding. Open doors also require discernment. Just because access is granted does not mean alignment is present. Some doors open to test maturity, patience, or obedience rather than to provide permanence. Walking through every open door can lead to burnout, confusion, and divided focus. Wisdom knows when to step forward and when to step back, even if the path ahead looks promising. Trusting both open and closed doors reshapes perspective. Success is no longer measured by how many opportunities are seized, but by how faithfully direction is followed. Rejection loses its power to define worth. Delay loses its ability to discourage hope. The heart becomes secure, knowing that guidance is active even when progress feels slow. This trust also brings peace during transition. Closed doors often mark the end of a season, and endings can be painful. Familiar routines change, identities shift, and uncertainty rises. Yet endings make room for beginnings that cannot exist without release. Letting go becomes an act of obedience rather than defeat. The heart learns that holding on too tightly can prevent growth just as much as fear. Open doors, when aligned with purpose, bring a different kind of peace. They may still require courage, stretching, and sacrifice, but they carry an inner confirmation that sustains through difficulty. This peace does not depend on external validation. It settles the heart even when the path ahead is challenging. Trusting doors to open and close according to divine wisdom frees the soul from striving. It removes the pressure to force outcomes or manipulate circumstances. Life becomes less about control and more about cooperation. The heart remains open, flexible, and attentive, confident that direction is not random but intentional, guiding each step with care and purpose. Inviting the presence of the Holy Spirit into everyday life means recognizing that guidance is not limited to sacred moments or quiet places alone. It is an acknowledgement that life's ordinary spaces, work, home, conversations, responsibilities, and even private thoughts are just as in need of direction as moments of prayer. Too often, spirituality is compartmentalized, reserved for specific times, while the rest of life is navigated independently. But true transformation begins when every area of life becomes an open space for divine involvement. Daily life is filled with small moments that shape character more than dramatic events ever could. The way words are chosen in conversation, how patience is exercised under stress, and how integrity is maintained when no one is watching all reflect inner alignment. Inviting the Holy Spirit into these moments creates awareness. It sharpens sensitivity to attitudes, reactions, and motives that might otherwise go unnoticed. This awareness becomes a gentle guide, redirecting behavior before mistakes deepen into habits. Workplaces, homes, and relationships often reveal the true condition of the heart. Pressure, fatigue, and expectation can easily lead to frustration or compromise. When the Holy Spirit is welcomed into these spaces, strength replaces strain. Wisdom enters decision-making. Compassion softens interactions. Rather than relying solely on personal endurance, there is a constant source of renewal available throughout the day. Private struggles also need this invitation. Thoughts that spiral into worry, insecurity that whispers lies, and hidden battles that never make it into conversation all benefit from divine presence. Bringing these struggles into the light creates freedom. It allows healing to begin where silence once lived. Instead of carrying burdens alone, the heart learns to share the weight, trusting that help is near even in unseen places. Inviting the Holy Spirit also transforms relationships. Listening becomes more attentive, responses more thoughtful, and forgiveness more accessible. Conflict no longer has to escalate into division. Guidance brings restraint when emotions rise and clarity when misunderstandings occur. This presence fosters unity by aligning actions with love rather than pride. Everyday life often feels rushed, filled with obligations and distractions. Pausing to invite divine guidance slows the pace, grounding the soul. It creates space for reflection, gratitude, and intentional living. Even mundane tasks take on new meaning when done with awareness and purpose. Ordinary moments become opportunities for growth rather than sources of stress. This invitation is not about perfection. It is about availability. It is the willingness to say, you are welcome here in every aspect of life. Over time, this openness builds consistency. Faith is no longer confined to moments of need, but becomes a continuous relationship. The result is a life lived with greater peace, clarity, and strength, sustained by an ever-present source of guidance and renewal. Walking confidently in trust, peace, and obedience is a daily choice rather than a one-time decision. Confidence in this sense does not come from knowing every outcome or having every answer in advance. It is built through reliance on guidance that remains steady even when circumstances shift. This kind of confidence allows the heart to remain calm in uncertainty and grounded when the future feels unclear. Trust grows through experience. Each step taken in obedience reinforces the belief that direction is reliable even when the path feels unfamiliar. Obedience often requires moving forward without visible confirmation, choosing alignment over comfort. This process strengthens inner resolve, teaching the heart that faithfulness is not dependent on immediate results. Over time, trust matures into quiet assurance, replacing anxiety with stability. Peace becomes the anchor that steadies the soul. It is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of calm within them. When peace leads, reactions soften and the mind remains focused. External pressure loses its power to dictate behavior. Decisions are made with clarity rather than urgency, and actions reflect intention rather than impulse. This peace guards emotional health, allowing the heart to remain open open instead of defensive. Obedience also refines character. It calls for humility, patience, and surrender, especially when direction contradicts personal preference. There are moments when obedience feels costly, requiring restraint or sacrifice, yet these moments shape integrity. They build resilience and deepen trust, forming a foundation that remains unshaken by changing circumstances. Walking in trust, peace, and obedience brings freedom from fear. Fear thrives on uncertainty and control, but obedience shifts focus toward purpose. The heart no longer strives to manage every outcome. Instead, it learns to cooperate with guidance, confident that each step is part of a larger design. This freedom releases mental and emotional tension, allowing joy to surface even in difficult seasons. Confidence rooted in obedience does not seek approval or validation. It stands firm regardless of opinions or opposition. This inner strength allows progress without comparison or competition. The journey becomes personal and purposeful, driven by conviction rather than external reward. As this walk continues, resilience develops. Setbacks no longer derail purpose, and delays no longer discourage hope. Trust sustains momentum, peace maintains balance, and obedience provides direction. Life unfolds with intentionality, shaped by steady faith rather than fleeting emotion. The heart remains anchored, confident that each step is guided, each decision is covered, and each day is lived with clarity and purpose.